twagala sente, twagala ki? Situagala kutunyonyola, twagala sente, twagala ekigambo
entirely and arbitrarily, whether it be a credit card or a $100 bill. It only has as much value as we assign to it. So scouring through the annals of history, one finds that trade has been the cornerstone of human civilization. We see it in the ancient societies of Egypt, China, India, Sumer, among others. Before civilization bloomed in Mesopotamia, life was primarily an individual or tribal endeavor. So the hunter-gatherer's culture was predicted on the survival of the fittest. People had never realized that working together could minimize their losses and help them flourish. This was by bringing different groups of people with varying talents and abilities, so humans were able to leave the isolation and the boredom of primitive times behind by that time. We can even see this specialization, guys, in our society of today. So in the manufacturing and services industries, every link in the chain performs a specialized task that helps the whole process, as you see today. So guys, this was a critical revolution for the Mesopotamians, who were responsible for creating the first cities known to be as humankind cities. And since then, the trade has become one of the most widely adopted professionals, where one reads the tales of the Middle Ages and one is bound to come across images of merchants and traders selling goods in the markets, as we see in the history, guys. However, commerce has changed dramatically as we witnessed an entirely different system today. As we also understand, the history of money is mainly based on the conjecture and the logical inference, guys. As the earliest form of trade happened in the most of the rudimentary fashion, the old way, as it was based on the medium of exchange known as the barter trade system. This system continued for a long time. People would trade for food like salt, rice, wheat, among others, for other commodities such as utensils, metals, and weapons, guys. So the same system had no standardized way of valuing goods. It was unfair trade by that time, guys. So what these guys did about this viable system, and it had lasted long for centuries, and it was due to lack of ancient records that it is not entirely clear when people started adopting the currency systems as we are seeing today. The economic systems of the ancient history are hard to understand because some of them predicted writing systems. For example, we know that a monetary system existed around 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. We can find records of the ledgers of these times that they used for their trade. The idea of assigning specific values as tokens, it gains traction over the time, although some people would immediately think of old metallic coins that were used by that time. Other tokens did exist before them, as archaeologists found clay tokens in the ancient Babylon, Egypt, China, and India. Palaces would use tokens to assign values against their stored goods. So other currencies also existed in the form of animal skins, weapons, swords. Many people use these items as their currencies. And we know that before the 2000th century, actually before the 2000 BC years ago, people were using metals as money, especially in the Babylon. However, by this time, metals did not exist in a certified form of the coinage. So the system of the metallic coins would begin to emerge in different parts of the world around the 7th century. That's why they became widely famous in many parts of the world by this time, guys. It's also known that the coins were created in China around this time, and in the recent expeditions, archaeologists uncovered a coin minting site in Guangzhou. This location was dating back approximately 640 BC ago. So this was the oldest known minting site for standardized metal coinage. Okay, these coins also began appearing in India around this time. Metals like silver, copper, gold could be used to make these coins. Okay, so over time, gold, silver coins became quite common in Europe and many areas as of the rest of the world. Especially we see using of coins in the Islamic age, where they introduced many modern concepts of economics. So many later on, after several years, ideas like checks, transactional and saving accounts, exchange rates, bank loans, deposits, and transfer of debits and credit can be traced back from here, from the Islamic age time. So this was also mostly seen in the Mediterranean trade around Italy. They also used bills of exchange. We can actually, which this could be called an earlier form of credit that we have of today. Until the 12th century, the English introduced another form of exchange bills since papers had been invented. China was the first to print paper notes around this century, and its emergency kept money popping in different parts of the world. In India, we saw them developing rupiah, or the modern rupee that we see. These were made from India. We also have taka that was from Bangladesh by the time. So in the next years, Europeans, after the traveling of Marco Polo, witnessed and started implementing back home what they saw. Whereas other currencies became regulated and governments started to exert more control over the currencies that were introduced in their countries. First European banknotes were issued in the 17th century, so as in America, that are in process up to date. So their move was adopted by different countries in the rest of the world, that we see different notes as of up to today. Thank you guys for following. Like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Teacher Andrew Geography. I'll see you in our next tutorial.